So good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thank you for coming to session number 2 in our workshop. Now you all know that session 1 was the introduction, gave us our first week of the things that we were going to be doing, touched on training. We're going to speak to training every single week that we are here because training is the main thing that we do here at CrossFit, but we're going to speak to some other pieces too. This week is going to be about the recovery and some of the components of the nutritional part of recovery. We're also going to be talking next week about things like pacing and strategy and what kind of gear you might need, whether it is that you want to better perform in the gym or whether it's what do I need to be prepared when I go to a competition. But week number 4 is going to be critical, or weekend number 4, and that's the one I encourage all of you to come do, and that is going to be where we put what we've practiced to the test. So actually the 8 o'clock in the morning session that we're going to be meeting for week 4 will be the first of 2 workouts that we will do. So we'll do one workout at 8 o'clock and we'll do one workout at that 9:15-ish time frame, because what we're going to practice in between is our recovery strategy between multiple workouts, right? And then also practice some of those other strategies for pacing and things of that nature. It's a great opportunity to practice and then have some fun, have some food afterwards, and celebrate where you've come in your journey over the last few weeks. So, last week, I had asked you to record some things in your books about your workouts. What kind of things were we supposed to be recording last week? How you felt. That was the main thing, right? How did I feel trying these new things? Because for some of you, that was a big change of routine, just simply adding liquid nutrition before you worked out. Many of you are either used to food nutrition or are used to really no nutrition before you work out. So it was, how did you feel? What else were we going to be recording?
Habits.
Yeah, habits. Like what
Stopping,
kind of habits?
like how many times you stop, how many times you drink hot water, so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So we're going to actually go through that this morning as we recap last week and use it to transition to what's coming in this coming week. So if you don't have your journal that you recorded those things in, go ahead and go grab that if you need to, and we're going to spend some time on those things this morning. Does everybody have their book from last week for training? So what you're going to do is you're going to find a partner and just go through what happened last week. So what went well last week? Did you work on your goal? What was your goal? Was it the right goal for the week? What didn't really work last week? So you know what, I tried it all week, it didn't work for me. And what did you learn? Like if you were to say, I learned this last week and here's what I can take from it, what was it? So take some time to think about that yourselves, look through your results from last week, and then find a partner and just share some of those learnings from last week. Let's go through this. So somebody willing to share what their goal of last week was, and did they practice it every day, like these, or every day they were here, like our challenge was to do, and how that went for them. So last week's goal, you had a goal of a skill that you were going to practice every single day. So, or every day that you were here. Does anybody want to share their story around practicing their goal? Okay, we'll go here, here, and then I'm going to force you to do it.
The kipping pull.
Kipping pull up, yes.
Like first I couldn't get like 2 or 3, but now I can do 6, 7 in a row.
Very nice.
Practicing like 2 to 3 at a time, practicing motion, doing that stuff.
Really good, nicely done, excellent, that's awesome, that's a big accomplishment, okay.
I had 2. Excuse me, the butterfly pull-up and muscle-ups. So I got the butterfly down, but the muscle-ups are still getting there.
Good, excellent. But you practiced them, excellent, that's awesome. And Sarah, I'm gonna pick on you too, because this has been a big goal for a while.
I have been working on pistols and falling on my butt every time. And my goal this week was to work on them, and I did my first swab with them yesterday, and I successfully did them. So I was excited.
So the importance of practicing that skill every day, I know it's really easy to say, wow, I didn't have time today, I can't fit it in today, but turn it into part of your routine. That skill can also become part of your warm-up, and the goal with that skill, until you hit that skill, is to just create that muscle memory on a regular basis. Eventually, your body will say, okay, you know what, I can do this. The thing with CrossFit that's awesome is that we do different things all the time. You have muscle confusion all the time, you're always developing. The challenge with that can be is that the amount of times we repeat that same exercise, unless it's a core exercise like a box jump or a burpee or something that is a main staple, when it's something like pistols, when it's something like muscle ups, the frequency that we do them is so few and far between, we don't have a chance to practice it very much. That's why it needs to become part of, okay, this is my short-term goal, here's what my practice is going to be, and it needs to be, if you don't have time, the practice can be, I'm going to do 5 pull-ups. That's it. How long do 5 pull-ups take if you're working on butterflies, for instance, right? Is 5 butterfly pull-ups every day, although you may not be getting to that 20 you want to. What you're creating is the muscle memory of the butterfly movement, so to speak, right? Mine, I'll share mine with you. Mine is working on those handstand push-ups. You all know it. I worked on them last week. I changed it up to doing them on parallettes, and actually found that by changing and doing 3 a day, every day on the parallettes, when I went and did them on Friday from the ground, they were very easy to crank out 5. So that was my goal last week, and I'm doing all of this right along with you guys. This is a learning process for me as well. How about what went well? What went well for you last week with this change? Anybody have something that went well, or was it different for them? Some more stamina, okay? Because I know at first it was a rough switch for you to have some nutrition, right? Tell us what happened when you first started.
It was like being hungover. It really was bad. I had no concentration, no skill level, no ability whatsoever. I had to stop every couple minutes. I was really feeling sick.
Yeah.
And I got up, even though I wasn't here Tuesday, I got up and did the liquid nutrition again, and then I kept going with it for the rest of the week, and I did notice that I was performing better, even though I'm taking it easy on my knee and scaling. I had more stamina to do the scaling things.
Good. Anybody else have a good experience with adding nutrition into the morning for them, or into before the workout, about a half an hour? Okay. So liquid nutrition may not hit the mark. Some of you, I know we talked about, you already do it, so it's not something that's new to your routine. We do a week so that your body can get used to it. The first time you start doing new things, it's no different than when you start doing something new movement-wise in CrossFit. What happens to you in the middle of the workout and the next day? Does it feel great, or does it like, oh my gosh, what did I do yesterday? How's everybody feeling after those weighted jumping squats that you all did? You probably won't feel it today. It'll probably be tomorrow that you're really like, what did we do? But your body's not used to it yet. It's no different than how you train your body nutritionally. Your body's not going to be used to it yet. You probably learned during that segment of nutrition several weeks back that you will have, when you change nutrition, a different feeling for a little bit till your body gets used to it. Same thing with pre-workout nutrition is if your body's not used to it, you have to condition and train your body to be used to having something to digest before you work out. Where this will help you, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later today, this is going to help you in that stamina piece, especially as you get into some of the longer WODs or when you have to have a quick recovery to the next workout that you're going to be doing. So for those of you that are planning on competing, training your body to absorb nutrition before you work out is going to be imperative to being able to make it through let's say a multi-day competition or a multi-workout day. Okay? And even for those of you who want to say, hey, I want to add some extra cardio, I want to add some running, or let's say like Fran, she's not here this morning, but she wants to train for a triathlon, she'll still do CrossFit. How does she create nutrition where she has enough stamina to accomplish those inside the gym and outside the gym goals as well? How about what didn't work? What didn't work for you last week? Anybody want to share like, oh, you know what, I tried it all week and that was awful?
Trying to figure out when to take it.
So what happened with that, Sarah?
Monday morning I took it like 30 minutes before and I felt sick, and then Tuesday I took it 45 minutes before and still felt sick. So it's just finding the right time.
Yeah. So if you guys are having difficulty with the nutrition before you work out, try to experiment with different times so that you can figure out what's the best time for me. Because the reality of it is that you can't go to an all-day competition or a multi-day competition and just not eat. right? If you have 45 minutes to an hour between workouts and you struggle with nutrition in half an hour, you got to start training your body. You know, what is it? Is it, do I get up 2 hours before the day starts? What do I need to do? Because it just isn't realistic. You will be able to perform at the end if you have just not eaten at all. Okay, and then anybody have a key learning from last week? Anybody have an aha moment from either the session that we had together or the week that you had? Because this week you actually really thought about your training and your habits during a training session as well.
Definitely the repetition, you know, the goal setting, the day-to-day thing that you're going to do every day gets easier. And then it doesn't scare you as much when you do attempt it, like the butterfly pull-ups or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt the same way. I had never done a parallel handstand push-up. I was terrified. I made someone stand right there to like catch me. I was afraid to kick up. And by the end of the week, you're right, as you get used to it, it's not so bad. It definitely takes away that fear, so good. Anybody realize something different about their training? Like maybe you stopped less than you thought, more than you thought, hydrate more than you thought?
I stopped less.
You stopped less, you thought you stopped more. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else?
I performed better, even though it was scale. You know, even just jump and row. You know, I couldn't do it as many before.
Yeah, so because you stopped and thought about it. Now I want to acknowledge something that happened last Saturday, if you don't mind. Okay, but this is fantastic. It's in the fact that when we stop and we actually think about our rep scheme, or we think about our workout, or we think about what's ahead of us, and we know that we have to write it down, and this was not your motivation, but we know these things, sometimes that changes our mentality. I remember last Saturday morning, I said, how did the workout go? You said, good, and you were so excited. I wish I could have taken a picture of your face. You were so excited, and you said, normally I would have stopped after 5 rounds, but I thought about it, and I thought I can do that 6th round, and you did it, and that is absolutely awesome. So to me, that is a huge win from last week, and a key learning that you can just decide, I'm gonna do more, and I can do more. So this week is all about that. It's all about re-looking at those goals that you had. How did they work? Are we going to continue on that same goal, or is it time to reassess what your short-term goal is? Some of you accomplished your short-term goal last week. We had a few folks that did that. So it's time to reset that short-term goal if you accomplished it. If you didn't accomplish it, was it a realistic short-term goal? Meaning if my short-term goal is, say, to do 10 butterfly pull-ups, and I was really only getting to 5, is a better short-term goal to do 5 every day? Or is a better short-term goal for this coming week to do 5 every day, rest 5 more? So think about those short-term goals and how did you do on it? Is it realistic, and what do we need to adjust for this coming week? Because you're going to be continuing to do a skill practice every day in this coming week. Whether it's the same skill or whether you've accomplished your goal and it's time to move on to another skill. Go ahead. I'm going to challenge you, if you have a partner who works out about the same time as you, right? We all are creatures of habit. Many of you work out at that same workout slot every single day. Share what you're going to do every day with them. Either invite them to do it with you or say, hey, I need you to hold me accountable. There's nothing wrong with that. My workout partner is Sarah. We say that to each other all the time. There may be days I want to come in and I don't want to do my double unders. And she's like, here's the jump rope, quit complaining, and vice versa. Those are very important things, is invite other people into participating in your success. There's nothing wrong with that. Plus, it's someone who can celebrate that success and understand how hard you worked to get there. So during that workout time, you start forming those bonds and friendships. Find someone to share in that with you. It'll help you be accountable on those days you just don't really feel like it, right? When we all have those days. The next thing we're going to talk about is training. This coming week, what is our training strategy so that we're continuing to both evolve our training and take our training to that potential, maximum potential, or maximizing our performance. This week, what we're going to be talking about is not your strategy, that will be next week, but this week what I want you to become aware of is in that rest or that hydration period, we noticed last week what was the frequency of it and why did we stop or why did we hydrate. And many times we hydrate because we think we need the hydration, but mostly it's because we're tired. right? We use that as a rest. Okay, I'm gonna get a drink of water. Because realistically, within the short workouts that you do at CrossFit, there is no physical benefit to that piece of hydration. Makes you feel good, right? Mentally gives us a little bit of a break, gives us a reason to stop, but the hydration, until you start exceeding that half an hour time threshold, 45 minutes time threshold, so you're really going into a workout like Murph or something, that hydration's not helping you. The hydration in a workout like for Fran, something of that nature, something short, something quick, something less than a half an hour, you should not need the hydration. So I'd like you to pay attention this week to your hydration throughout the day, because if you hydrate throughout the day, you won't find the need to do it as much in the workout. Your sips of water maybe right before the workout starts. There's nothing wrong with even rinsing your mouth out right before the workout starts. I will be honest, I get nervous before every single workout we do. I get the butterflies in the stomach, I get the dry mouth, so rinse out that mouth, sip of water, but I'm going to encourage you to try this time. If your hydration is good throughout the day, that's a challenge for some of us with our professions, but trying to drink that gallon of water a day, try very hard to not hydrate in the middle of the WOD. That doesn't mean during warm-up, doesn't mean don't hydrate during the strength piece, right? We do strength here, we do things like skill practice here, we do the post-WOD, we do those things, hydrate during those times, but during the actual WOD, the timed WOD, yesterday took the majority of people, it looks like 9 minutes. You know, so far I've not met anyone who was going to pass out from 9 minutes of physical activity from not having a sip of water. So what I would say is try to discipline yourself this week to not drink during the WOD. So just one more time to be clear, so that I don't have people saying, well, Amy said don't drink any water, and we were passing out in the gym, right? I'm not saying don't drink water. What I am saying is drink water all day, drink water during the warm-up, drink water during the strength activity, drink water post, immediately when you're done. But in that 9-minute WOD, don't stop to drink water. Own up to your rest. We tend to have this mentality in CrossFit that everything has to be unbroken. It does not. You need to just approach it with the same intelligence that you approach everything else in your life with, right? So for instance, if I look at a workout and I know it's going to take me 20 minutes, right? And I know I run a 5K in 20 minutes. Anybody head out the door and sprint out of a 5K? Anybody in here sprint? No? And yet sometimes in those 20-minute workouts we sprint out the gates and then we have to stop and we hydrate to rest. So it's okay to rest, it's okay to be broken, it's okay to do all of those things. Again, we will talk about pacing and strategy next week. But what I will say is, please this week try no hydration during the actual WOD, and determine in advance what your rest is going to be. So for instance, you tell yourself, if I'm going to rest during this workout, I'm going to rest for a count of 5 and go again. And that's okay. That's a good thing to do. Those are those pieces we want you to practice, because we'll move forward in the coming weeks with actual creating rep strategies, like how many repetitions is right for you in a workout. But right now we just want to practice disciplining yourself to determine a rest strategy, a realistic one, and then executing that so that even when you're tired, even when it burns, even when it hurts, you're saying, okay, I'm doing wall balls, you do your wall balls, right? Last one, you come up, you say, I'm going to hold the wall ball for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you drop and go again. Why would we do that? Why would we predetermine our rest strategy?
Because you're forcing your body to like, sometimes maybe you want to rest at 3, but you're forcing yourself to 5, and sometimes you maybe go 7, but you're pushing yourself too hard. So when you determine it, you're giving yourself, you know, a short break instead of taking too long of a break and different things. You kind of force yourself.
Yeah, and you are 100% right. Many times the more you get tired, the more tired we get, the more that rest period feels really short, but it's actually quite long. Just like in the Tabatas we do, or the every minute on the minute at first, when you start, do they seem like, well, this is easy, right? You only do a few reps and then you rest. This feels great, and the rest feels really long. And then what happens as that workout goes along, where you have a work time and a rest time? How does that rest start to feel?
Short.
Really short. The same thing's going to happen mid-WOD if you don't have a rest strategy in advance. Mid-WOD, you're going to say, I'm only going to stop for a little bit. And that little bit turns into longer and longer and longer because it feels the same. So come up with a rest strategy, whether your rest strategy is a count. So if I'm doing something like wall balls, if I'm doing something like handstand push-ups, I'll come up with a count. If I'm doing a bar exercise, I do chalking. That is my rest, right? Sometimes even when I don't need chalk, sorry Chris, we go through a lot of chalk in this gym, right? Even if I don't need chalk, sometimes that's my rest strategy, is the amount of time it takes me to walk to the chalk bucket, chalk, and get back to the bar, because then I know I really haven't stopped moving. Make sense to everybody? So that's this week, one of your challenges. And that is going to be our training focus this week. So last week's training focus was making sure that you understand when you rest and how often you take breaks. The other piece that we challenged was making sure that every movement was done correctly. No repping yourself when you didn't have open hips on a box jump or didn't go past parallel on your squats, things of that nature. That is going to continue, and that will never change in your time at CrossFit. So this week, make sure that you're planning your rest, make sure that we are still holding ourselves accountable to the correct form inside the CrossFit. Last thing I'd like you to do for training this week to train your body is this. And this one sounds so easy, and it may be the hardest of the three that I'm giving you. This time I'm going to ask you to run all the way to your next station. So meaning, when we had a workout like yesterday, the jumping squats and the run. We do jumping squats, we head out the door running, we run all the way on our 360, and where do we typically stop running? At the door, and then what happens? We walk into the bar, right? That amount of time, although not critical, what you're doing by training yourself to run all the way to the next piece of equipment is taking away that temptation to add more rest that you're not holding yourself accountable to. Make sense? So this week I'm also going to ask you run all the way, it doesn't have to be a sprint, but run all the way from piece of equipment to piece of equipment. That transitional time will make up a huge amount of time on your workouts, believe it or not, but also it's going to train your body to run from equipment and from station to station. It'll also train your body to continue to perform with a high heart rate. Many, many times you will see people that just walk from piece of equipment to piece of equipment, and then they go to a competition, and what do? They walk from piece of equipment to a piece of equipment, and it's just muscle memory. Really doesn't really make the workout any easier, and what you will find as you get in that habit, running to that piece of equipment really doesn't make the workout any more difficult. Trust me on this one, it's just a habit. So get yourself in that habit of running. Any questions on any of those so far? So as you'll see, we're going to continue to layer on pieces of training throughout this whole time, and those pieces of training will continue to need to be a focus for you, since training is the main piece of what we do here at CrossFit. All right, so as we go through that training piece, part of training, and equally as important as the effort that you put into training, is going to be your nutrition and your recovery. You put in a ton of work, you break down your body, you get into these workouts, and then somehow we put all this focus on how hard you work, what you can lift, how much your max is, what your Fran time was, and yet we don't put the same focus necessarily on our nutrition and our recovery. And yet 80% of our ability to maintain success is going to come from this here. Your ability to come back and work hard the next day, not get out of bed and go, I can hardly move, or to prevent injury. Right? Injury will really take you out of the ability to train. So we're going to spend some time talking about nutrition and recovery. How many of you went to the nutrition seminar several weeks back? 1, 2. Okay, so quite a few of you. Excellent. What were some of those things that you learned about the importance in nutrition?
It's not the 80s anymore. You don't have to starve yourself.
Yeah, it's not the 80s. Actually, do not starve yourself. If you're eating hungry, if you're not eating, or if you're not hungry, don't eat, right? We have this joking saying at my house that it was my mouth's hungry, not my stomach, right? It means that I want to eat because it tastes good, all right?
It's the foundation of everything.
It is, yep. Your body has building blocks in it. And those, what you put in your mouth, that's what you're making those building blocks out of. And you deplete that all the time. And if you don't refuel it with the right things, you're going to have a pretty shaky foundation. Absolutely. What else did you guys learn? How about the types of food? What types of food should we be eating?
Closest to the ground as you can get it.
Close to the ground as you can get it. There's a great mentality out there in America that all calories are created equal, and they're not. Not all calories are created equal. I'm sure many of you who in here again follows paleo. And what's the response from people when they see that you're making improvements in how you look and you're making improvements in how you feel, and then they watch and they say, what do you eat? And you say, I eat paleo and I work my rear off in the gym. What happens in that conversation when you have that conversation with people?
You get funny looks.
You get a funny look?
Yeah,
What else happens?
It's usually negative. You
Yeah.
usually get a negative response.
Isn't that interesting? What kind of negative response do you get?
They don't understand, or they're like, oh, you know, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're weird. I don't understand. Or sometimes they just tune out completely. As soon as you say you work hard, they tune out completely
Yeah.
because most people are still after that magic pill. Now, this is a group of folks willing to work hard for it. So let's maximize that too. This is not a class on nutrition like what you had. You already had that workshop on nutrition. This is how do you take what you learned and maximize it so you can feel the best for your performance on a daily basis. That doesn't mean you won't ever be sore. You're gonna be sore. Doesn't mean you won't ever be tired. You're gonna be tired. But we're gonna talk about the importance of nutrition and the importance of recovery so that you can maximize that repetitive training. So, that being said, we actually started that process already when we did last week liquid nutrition. If you do not put nutrition into your body before you work out, what do you think happens?
You use muscle.
You're going to use some of your muscle, yep. You're going to use some of your fat stores, some of your muscle stores, but really that's difficult for your body to turn into energy. So although, and this is where it gets really confusing, just like we have to cancel out that feeling that all calories are created equal. Well, if they were, then I could eat Snickers and beer and Doritos just only in certain quantities and I would still be super fit, and that's not the case. Or work on my way to being super fit, but that's still not the case. I still have to eat grilled vegetables and chicken breasts and things of that nature. The same thing goes here. We have to change mentality that if I don't eat before I exercise, I'm gonna lose more weight. Right? And you can Google it online, you can do research, and there's all kinds of arguments too that it makes you burn more fat, and there's all kinds of arguments that it doesn't. So if your goal is to lose weight or to lean out, what I would say is really a math equation, meaning you only have a certain number of energy you can burn at a time if you have no fuel in your tank, right? Just like your car. You can eat nothing, exercise for a period of time, but then what's going to happen? What happens to your car if you decide to start it up and start heading out of town on a quarter of a tank? Because let's pretend that not eating before workout, you still got a quarter tank left from whatever you had for dinner. What's going to happen? Yeah, you're going to run out of gas, right? You're going to run out of gas. Are you going to be able to drive if you want to go further, are you going to be able to drive as fast? Because you still got to make it to your destination, so you only have that quarter tank. How are you going to make sure you get to the destination if you can't fuel up? Drive slow, right? So think about that. You can finish the workout. Many of you do it on an empty stomach. You can finish the workout. The question is are you doing it with the same intensity? Because higher intensity is going to equal more calorie output. So as you consume calories, and really liquid nutrition and the amount you would eat before, or like food nutrition, the amount you would eat before a workout isn't a substantial amount, but it's enough to get that gas tank full. It's enough to get your blood sugar levels back up and allow you to take that intensity further, right? Take that intensity further. So although you may not exercise for as long because your time is faster, which is hopefully all of our goal, your time is faster because the intensity was greater, the increased calorie output times the amount of time is still going to be a greater overall total than lower intensity output, slightly longer period of time. Because the amount of time difference it'll make in your workout is not going to be substantial. The amount of intensity and power that you can put into your workout is going to be substantial. Make sense to everybody? So I'm going to encourage you, those of you who said, okay, last week was my first week of putting food or nutrition into my body, we're going to continue that this week. We're just going to try it a little bit different. The other thing is for those of you who purchased some sort of liquid nutrition for the first time ever, anybody in here purchased it for the first time ever this last week? Or has everybody been on some kind of liquid nutrition before? Okay, so you're pretty familiar. If you purchased some for this, it's not wasted. We will be using it again in week number 3. Okay? Because what I'm going to ask you to do for week number 2 is actually go to food nutrition. So this is going to take a little more preparation. I'm warning you as of a Saturday morning, it's going to take some preparation. You have Saturday, you have Sunday to prepare yourself for the week, because if you try to prepare this stuff midweek, it becomes difficult with a normal work-life balance that we all have. So this week, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be eating some sort of food nutrition 30 to 45 minutes before your workout. So let's talk about what those things could be. Those things, and I encourage you to try different things. You're going to try something, you're like, ooh, that didn't sit well with me, but you can try something else. And then you can also play with the quantity throughout the week and record those things and how you felt. So the food nutrition should be something that is as close to the ground as possible, as you were saying, right? So we want it to be something like, it could be an apple with almond butter. It could be an apple with a handful of almonds. It could be a banana with some almonds. It could be jerky. Jerky might sit well with you. I do well with jerky. It could be some dried fruit and some sort of protein you add to it, like, for instance, could be dried fruit and nuts. It could be dried fruit and a boiled egg. You might do well on scrambled eggs. I make up sometimes a big batch of turkey bacon, stick it in the refrigerator, and just grab a few pieces similar to jerky. Well, I'll grab that, maybe half a banana, and call it good. It's just putting something into your body. I'm going to ask you to keep it as clean as possible. So this week, if you're buying bacon, if you're buying turkey bacon, uncured, nitrate-free, make sure they haven't added any sugar, so that really nice maple bacon you might like, probably cut that out this particular week. Same thing with like your eggs, try to make sure that they are, whether they're an omega-3 enriched egg or whether they are like a cage-free, hormone-free, all of those things, because this is the first nutrition you put in your body after the overnight fast. So really important that it's something that is good for you. Then I'm going to ask you to repeat the process right after you work out, and that gets a little bit tougher for some of you. I know I don't like eating right after I work out, because I work out and I'm just like, I feel sick after I work out. So that will take some effort to get yourself to eat right after a workout. It may be dried fruit that works the best for you because it's light, it's sweet, it feels like a treat. It may be something else that works for you. I did try, for those of you who are not sure you want a stomach, totally solid food, I did try, what is it? Have you tried the new almond milk yogurt that's out? It's like a yogurt made out of almond milk. I tried that. It's all right. It's pretty good. I mean, if you're looking for something semi-solid, still made out of almond milk, you might try even something like that if solid food is a little too difficult for you before you work out.
The grocery store, yeah.
I actually got that at Walmart, but I think they have it just about anywhere else too. Although Walmart didn't have as good a selection as I've seen at Whole Foods, because they still have some of the other pieces in it. So, and there's a great recipe out there online for pumpkin paleo muffins. Make them if you don't have a chance to do anything else. Try to make yourself those. And the reason I say that is somehow we are preconditioned to feeling like bready type things feel easy on our stomachs. And that gives your body and your mouth and your mind that idea that you're eating a bready type of something. So that tends to be something that's very easy for me to stomach. These are things that are easy for me. You are going to find the combination that's easy for you. Some of you may find that you're lucky enough that you can eat a giant breakfast before you work out and you're just fine. Back in my swimming days, I could do that. A giant strawberry waffle with the whipped cream and everything right before I would go compete, and that was my nutrition of choice. Not very nutritious, but you have to find the right recipe for you. Experiment all week long this week, because we're going to share how did that make you feel, just like we did last time. How did you perform? Did it work? Did it not work? So food before, food after means you're going to have to pack it to the gym unless you live across the street, because remember, you want to refuel within about 15 minutes of finishing that workout. Any questions here?
Bananas okay?
Bananas are absolutely absolutely okay, in my opinion. You're gonna Google and get all different opinions from people, but bananas, in my opinion, are fantastic. I'll tell you, banana with a scoop of almond butter on every single bite is, to me, it's like heaven. I love bananas with almond butter. And then anybody who eats a lot of almond butter eaters in here? No? Okay, if you haven't had almond butter, let me tell you, jarred, my personal opinion with almond butter, jarred almond butter, not so good. I don't care for it. It separates, it gets oily. I don't care for jarred almond butter. Other people love it. I like to go someplace that you get the fresh ground, kind of like you can get fresh ground coffee. There are places that have that. Ingles is one of them. If you don't want to have to drive all the way to a Whole Foods has fresh ground almond butter, and the difference between is like night and day. In fact, for a good dessert in the evening, you can take an apple, split it in half, smear some of that almond butter on it, because it kind of has almost a graham crackery taste and texture to it. Smear it on the top of that apple, throw some cinnamon on top of that. It makes a fantastic dessert. So almond butter, absolutely going to be a great friend for you.
Anything you want to stay away from, like, I mean, eggs, or is there anything you should probably steer clear of?
I would say anything with sugar added. We don't want any added sugars, right? We want anything that we consume for breakfast to be nitrate-free, so uncured nitrate-free, because a lot of breakfast meats are cured and have nitrates added into them.
How do you know that? I mean, what do you mean?
It should say right on it. Even at Walmart, they'll carry a brand of bacon that is nitrate-free, so you look for something that's all natural, nitrate-free. But I would say, as far as type of food that you want to stay away from, as long as you're getting close to the dirt, what you guys learned from 2 weeks ago at your nutrition seminar, I would say that that's up to what your body can handle. If you can handle sweet potatoes and eggs and bacon all scrambled together in the morning, fantastic. If you can't, maybe try something else. For me, I do sweet potato sometimes. I'll just do a half of a sweet potato, and because sometimes eggs hurt my stomach in the morning before a workout, right? So sometimes I'll just have a cold sweet potato from the night before. Yeah?
So sweet potatoes,
Yes.
I've heard, conflicting, like that it is and that it isn't.
Paleo? Probably depends whose paleo you follow. You know, the most commonly followed paleo for most CrossFitter, I think, would be like Rob Wolf, and he says sweet potatoes, and recently has actually added regular potatoes in small amounts. That's up to you. I think what you have to do is you have to clean up your body. You have to try something, and how did it make me feel? So for instance, once you clean up your body and you go to eat something, your body will tell you if it's what it wants or it's not. Your body will say, that made me feel bloated, that made me feel crampy, it made me feel tired. If you feel tired or lethargic, wrong food for fueling your body, right? So if you eat something and about 20 minutes later you're really sleepy, you probably want to cut that out. Interesting story, and that is the gentleman who writes my programming. I follow Proving Grounds, and it's very challenging programming in my opinion. He does a great job with it. It took a while to get him on board with paleo. In fact, I distinctly remember him saying, paleo, you know, whatever. I don't think it's all it's chalked up to be. But he hadn't really committed to it. Recently, he went strict paleo and decided to have a cheat meal. And it would have been a normal meal he would have had in the past. A couple of donuts, at lunch, a couple hot dogs. He was down sick like he had the flu for the rest of the day. So once you clean up your nutrition, your body will tell you when it's not the right thing to put in it. So I would say potatoes are a tolerance thing. I eat sweet potatoes all the time. They're a main part of what I eat, for sure. Anybody else? Question?
You mix that sweet potato with the chocolate powder. It tastes like brownie. John told me that it works.
Sounds
if you
good.
need something sweet, mix the sweet potato with the pure chocolate powder.
Yeah.
Or like cinnamon, but not cinnamon sugar, the actual ground cinnamon.
Yep. Just plain cinnamon.
I put that on sweet potatoes.
Yeah, all of those things are absolutely fantastic. And if you're having a craving, there's always something online. You can find a paleo version of just about anything. And why I say it depends whose paleo you follow is because some paleo is you can have maple syrup, as long as it's pure maple syrup in a certain grade. You can have agave, you can have those things. And other paleo, you cannot have any added sweetness. So really just depends which paleo it is that you're following. The point is, here's the thermometer test for me. Is it better than the decision you used to make? And if it's one step better than the decision you used to make, you're on the right track. Right? And if I think back to what I would have used to eaten, you guys remember I told you about my journey through CrossFit, is better than going through McDonald's drive-thru and getting a McGriddle, because that would have been breakfast of my past. So whether it's you know, one person's version of paleo but not somebody else's, it's certainly a much better decision and a better choice than what I would have made in the past. So, those are good questions. Any other questions?
Would you have an opinion for the healthiest on the go kind of breakfast? Like if you're out the door, something happened, and you want to eat, but you know, of course, we got these things that are open in the morning. Like, where would you go and like, what would you get?
I would probably, on Sunday, I'd probably try to skip all of that, and on Sunday, make sure I had a fridge full of boiled eggs.
Okay.
I mean, it's best purchase in your CrossFit life is $10. It is like the Egg Genie. Is that what it's called? Egg Genie. It looks like a circle. Have you guys heard of this? You can get it at Walmart or anybody else. $9.99. And you can put 7 eggs on it. And you just put the eggs in this little thing. You plug it in and it beeps at you when it's done. And you have perfectly boiled eggs that peel wonderfully every single time. You don't boil the pot on the stove. You don't do any of that. Because I used to never boil eggs because it was a pain. They never peeled well. All those. So although this is not, you know, necessary, maybe more of the gear type of thing, I guess maybe kitchen gear, but I would say that was the best purchase that I ever made, and it's $10. And every couple of days I'll put 7 eggs on there. It'll hold 7 eggs at a time. I plug it in and I just throw them in the fridge when I'm done. And if I'm in a hurry, I will grab. I will make sure, in fact, I make sure I just have 1 or 2 of those on me at all times. If I had to go fast food, I would say I have not had a fast food breakfast in a really, really long time, but I guess, you know, start peeling the layers off of things until you're as close to the dirt as you can. Right?
In that nutrition class, he was telling me about Chick-fil-A. You can get sides of eggs and sides of bacon, and you can get 2 sides of eggs. I used to get 2 sides of eggs and a side of bacon, and it is a ton of food for $2. It is
Really?
$2.01.
Yeah, and then he said throw in.
And they have, don't they have grilled, instead of the deep fried chicken strips,
they
don't
have
they have
grilled
grilled
chicken
chicken
nuggets.
strips?
Yeah.
So you can probably
I'm
grab
sure it's
some of
not
those, too.
nitrate-free bacon or whatever, but
Still better.
I mean, you get a large quantity of eggs and bacon for $2. I mean, that's pretty cheap.
I tried the chicken like they said. Chicken patties are extremely small, so it might be as far as like just food and price, if that's kind of comparable. The eggs and the bacon is probably better.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't know that. I'm gonna try that too. So, and if you can't get nitrate free every time, you know what? It's not one thing that you eat isn't going to be the beginning or the end of your success. It's the repetition, but trying to get as close to that great decision as possible. But there are times, I mean, I'm telling you, Sunday, I'm having a beer and nachos. I've saved up my cheat day. I'm watching football. I'm having beer and nachos. So is that the best choice? No. So it's not about, and I know he talked about this on the nutrition, it's not about that you have to be perfect all the time, but how do you get as close to the best decision possible as you can. That's a great tip on this Chick-fil-A. All right. Okay, so the next thing I want to say about nutrition, why I put them up together is because they actually go hand in hand. Your workout, here's what I need you to understand. This is pivotal. You have to change your mentality. Your workout is not complete until you have refueled. Your workout is not complete until you have refueled. So if you would not walk out of this gym without finishing the workout, don't walk out of the gym without refueling. Your workout is not complete until you have refueled. It just needs to become part of that habit. It is part of the recovery process. Your greatest window of opportunity for recovery purposes is in that first 15 to 20 minutes post-workout. Then the window closes a little bit, and the first hour after recovery, you'll still have really good results, and then after that, it starts to decline very rapidly, how quickly your body will utilize that for recovery, and you will feel that the next day. Another interesting piece, you will work out today and feel the effects today of what you ate 3 days ago. So 3 days ago, doesn't mean it sits in your body, but what it means is, it went through your body broke it down, your body delivered it to the muscles in the different parts of your body that it needed to recover and replenish and rebuild, and now you are functioning off of some of that. So up to 3 days ago. So when you hear people say, oh, I got a competition tomorrow, I got to eat good tonight, or I got to eat good this morning, they'll feel that they ate good in 3 days. So your hydration and your nutrition today will impact how you train the beginning of next week. How you train today will be impacted by what you consumed 3 days ago. And everything else following, but the point is it has to become a repetitive all the time thing. That's the other reason why we go a full week of changing a habit before we determine if it works or not. Because you need at least 3 days for your body to really start maximizing those things that you refueled it with. So your workout is not complete until you have replenished your nutrition and hydration, and you will work out today on what you consumed 3 days ago. So may hopefully make you start thinking a little bit differently about how you strategize your nutrition, okay? So the meal that you eat after your workout is going to fuel your recovery and how you feel the next day as well. So after a workout, make sure that you eat something that has a carbohydrate in it. Now when we say carbohydrate, what do most people think instantly? Yeah, grain or sugar, and we're not doing grain or sugar. So what do our carbohydrates need to be? Vegetables, right? Vegetables or fruit, because you can handle replenishing those sugars from the fruit immediately after. So when you think of that post-workout nutrition, think I need some form of a carbohydrate, a vegetable or a fruit. You also need some form of a fat. So when we think of fat, what do we typically think? Bless you. What do we typically think for a fat? Yeah, think of fat, right? Lard or something of that nature. We want to be thinking about what kind of fats instead. Nuts, avocados. Avocado is a wonderful thing to pack to a workout. Okay, what else? Olives are a fantastic fat, so if you like olives, chop them up in your scrambled eggs or whatever else that you have. Throw some olives in there, right? Coconut oil. Coconut oil is fantastic for recovery. I have not eaten it straight, but some people actually just eat a spoonful of it straight. And I have not tried it, you know, but coconut oil, add that to your cooking. If you're going to cook something, instead of being oil-free, add a scoop of coconut oil to your cooking. Yeah.
Have you heard about chocolate milk?
Yes, chocolate milk. Now, if you're paleo, you can't have it though because it's got dairy in it. But yeah, chocolate milk is actually scientifically, they say that it's very good for a post-workout recovery. So those of you who are not 100% paleo, you could try chocolate milk this week if you want to. I'm not going to sit here and say what you should eat. I'm going to say try to eat something and see what happens. And I would probably say that would fall maybe more in the lines of liquid nutrition, but you could have that along with food, right? So then think of some other things that you could have, things that you like, and if you like it, you're more likely to eat it. You're looking forward to it. It might feel like a treat. There's a fantastic recipe out there for paleo candy bars, is what they're called, all right? And all the ingredients are raw honey, unsweetened shredded coconut, dark cocoa powder, and coconut oil. So think about that, right? Antioxidant in the cocoa powder, fat in the coconut oil, we've got fat in the coconut, and we've got raw honey. So this is a little bit of a sweetener. It's going to replenish some of your sugars. And what could you add? Because the only thing we're really missing at that point is what's that? You could add some protein. So what kind of protein could you add, even though we called it a fat earlier? You could add some nuts in there, right? And some people actually like bacon chocolate. You could actually throw some bacon in there if you wanted to. That might be pretty good. What else? You could add a protein powder, is that what you said? Yeah, you could just add a scoop of protein powder in there. So think about those things of how can I get myself to eat it because I want to, not just because I have to choke it down. So if you could think, wow, I could have some candy afterwards or something of that nature. The point is put something into your body when you are done. All right. The second thing I would say is you've got to practice doing it. Just like you had to last week get used to eating before, you are going to have to get used to eating or consuming something afterwards. At first, it's not going to feel good. You might feel like you have to choke it down. It's not meant to be a full meal. If you can handle a full meal, great. It's just meant to put something in your body, because someone asked me later, hey, a protein shake doesn't do it for me after work, and I'm hungry 20 minutes later. Good. Right? Good, then eat. So same thing here. Just get a little something in your body, if that's all you can stomach, and then eat your meal 20 minutes later, half an hour later, hour later, whenever you get home. Okay? Most of us work out, then we get in the car and we go home, Then we, visit with everybody we got home to. Then we start to cook dinner, and how long from workout to fueling occurs there? Yeah, a long time. Or if you work out in the morning, right? You work out, you hurry up, you get in your car, you run home, you shower, you get ready for work, and then you maybe think about eating. So record how you feel and how that works. Any questions about any of this so far? Last but not least, when it comes to this food piece, I want to remind you that food is only useful if it's absorbed. So that might sound kind of odd. Food is only useful if it's absorbed. So a lot of these typical diet foods that people have, that they eat it doesn't have much nutrition in it because you pass most of it. Think about things like iceberg lettuce, right? Let's avoid things that your body won't absorb. Get the most out of nutrition that you can. Reach for those foods that your body will absorb rapidly. Stay away from the ones that really have low nutritional value or are meant to be a filler and just pass, because it doesn't do any good. It's just wasting space, and it's actually wasting some of your body's efficiency there. So food is only good if it's absorbed. Seems simple, but sometimes our decisions don't necessarily reflect that. All right? Next up, icing. This week, you will see it is in your homework to ice. Your body, every time you're working out, is tearing down the muscle, and your muscles are becoming inflamed. What you need to do is reduce that inflammation to speed up that healing and that repair process, so you want to ice. This may also take planning. We may also decide to do something like buy some Dixie cups, fill them up, put them in the freezer here so we can ice immediately after our workout. Now the benefit of an iced Dixie cup is it does a couple of things. One, it's a lot less messy. Two, you can put it specifically on the areas that you worked. So last night, where would you have wanted to put them after that workout?
Quads.
Yeah, your quads, and where else would you have wanted?
Hamstrings.
Yeah, hamstrings and maybe your hip flexors for some of us, right? Those hip flexors can get kind of sore. The other awesome thing about the Dixie cup is you can peel it back and you have this hard lump of ice that you can then actually massage with. So you can actually take the ice and you can massage those muscles. It works almost like rolling. So this week I challenge you, in fact I will bring in some Dixie cups, put them in there, but I also challenge you, bring in those Dixie cups, let's fill them up, let's put them in the freezer here, bring yourself ice bags, whatever you need to do. This week I want you to try it and see how nutrition and icing helps you afterwards. The other thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be rolling. The number one mistake we make as CrossFitters is as soon as the workout's done, because we have so many things to do, what do? Yeah, we get up and go. We head out. That can lead to injury, that can lead to lack of recovery, that can lead to reduced mobility, that can lead to a lot of things. So even if all you can do is 5 minutes of rolling, do it. Or buy a roller and do it at home in front of the television, or do it at home when you're visiting with your kids. Do it at home and create that as part of your habit. So you can use a foam roller like what we have here. Many times they have them at places like Walmart, Target, TJ Maxx actually carries them. They tend to be less expensive than the sporting goods stores. Or go over to Home Depot and cut yourself a big piece of PVC or ABS pipe. They're sold in short lengths. Now that's a harder roll. It hurts a little more, but it also gets deeper into the tissue. So I enjoy that roll, but roll. So your homework this week, in addition to the things we talked about, was icing and was rolling. I'd like to see how you feel after you add those things as habit. At first, it's going to seem hard. At first, it's going to seem like, oh, I don't have time for all of these things. But as you create it into a habit, it just becomes part of your routine, and you'll notice the difference when you don't do it anymore.
So how long do you want to ice for?
So ice, it's best to do it for up to like 15 minutes, but if all you have is 5, then 5 minutes is what you can do. So you can do up to 5 minutes. So let's say you can even roll and ice at the same time. You have the roller on the ground, you're rolling your back out, and you're, let's say, icing your shoulders at the same time. So try to think of ways you can combine the activities to increase efficiency. You can ice in the car if you're driving. Like I have an hour drive every day after my workout. If I were to be efficient, put a towel down in my driver's seat, and I could probably sit and ice my legs as I am driving down the road. So, but great question. So 5 to 15 minutes Really, ice baths are wonderful. I cannot get myself to do one. I tried one time, and I just can't do it. So that's why the Dixie cup thing works really well for me. I have just a little bit of space, and I'm good to go. Yes.
Large styrofoam cooler filled with ice and water will stay for about 4 to 5 days. So you can keep going to it and dump the different body parts for as long as you can take.
It's good. Good. Great tip. Okay. So the last piece I'm going to leave you with today is I'm going to leave you with the fact that as you are increasing the things that you are doing, as you are fine-tuning your routines, part of rest and recovery, part of recovery is rest. Right? It's rest. Don't feel like because you have a goal you're trying to hit, you have to be here every day. You need a rest from CrossFit. If you have a day that you come in and you're just in so much pain, roll, stretch, ice, and go home. Make sure it's not because of a lack of motivation. Make sure it's because you are just feeling broke down, but those are okay. Listen to your body. Everybody's going to be different. Take your rest days. You will maximize your performance by resting more than you will by overtraining. I've heard some people say, well, I'm not getting enough out of it, so I'm going ahead and I'm going to work out on my rest days. When you do that, you reduce your capacity for workload on the non-rest days, on the work days. So rest is important. And you need a mental break. You need a mental break from coming in here so that when you come in here, you're sharp, you're focused, and you're ready to go. So rest is equally as important as any other piece of recovery. I highly recommend that you do it and make a big deal out of it. Do something you enjoy with it. Combine it with your cheat day. Have fun with your rest day. Active recovery is always a good thing. Swim, hike, cycle, do those things, but stay away from those impact activities because your body needs that recuperation time. I will also say that part of resting and recovery is also that mental piece. We talked about the mental piece last week. We talked about how important your mental sharpness and your toughness is. Find things this week that motivate you. Find pieces of inspiration for those times that, wow, this is tough and I'm not sure I can get through it. Last week I showed you a clip on Ray Lewis. Anybody ever seen that before? Do you know who made that? Okay, so that was actually a commercial for a video game. Commercial for Madden 13. So the interesting thing is don't be, wherever you find inspiration, that's okay. Now some of you are laughing like, oh, she found inspiration from a commercial for a video. That's okay. The point is I saw that and something spoke to me. And I said, I have to find that. And I found it and I saved it. And when I'm having a tough time getting the motivation to get up here at 4 in the morning and work out, I'll listen to that on the way in and go, nope, I got it. Different level of understanding. Why wouldn't I take the opportunity to be the best that I can be? The story about Mike Tyson, right? That's actually from a speaker named Eric Thomas. And if you have never Googled him before, Google him. He has some amazing inspirational broadcasts that he does that may help motivate you in those times that you're like, man, I'm tired. I don't know that I can do it one more time. Find those things that motivate you. It may be a song that pumps you up. Everybody has probably some song that when you listen to it, you turn it up, the heart rate goes up a little bit, you get excited, you feel pumped up. Know what those things are. Why? Why would that be so important to know what pumps you up? What external factors can pump you up?
So you can use it to your advantage.
Oh, yeah. So going into a competition, going into a workout you know is going to be tough, going into something, you get yourself mentally prepared and pumped up in advance. So I'm going to show you another video by Nike that is another inspirational piece for me before we start getting prepared for our 9:30 workout.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking. Just remember, out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
So go out and find those things that inspire you. Put them on your refrigerator, stick them on a mirror, put them next to your alarm clock in the morning. Find those things that keep you motivated and focused, because that's also part of maximizing your potential. You all started your journey on CrossFit with sort of a wish. You've turned it into a goal. You've started that process of executing it. So with that, week two is done. Let's start our journey of week 2. Let's go out and let's crush this workout and work on those strategies for the coming week. I will see you next Saturday morning.